Hi everyone, welcome to the Introduction to the Path. My name is Ricky Goodall. Before I begin into the material, I just want to say that you shouldn't blindly believe anything I'm going to share with you. You shouldn't just trust anything that you are going to experience in this program. I'm a human being with preconceived ideas, preconceived notions, and my own biases about how the universe works or how human beings work and everything in between. So you shouldn't blindly believe anything that I'm going to share with you, but rather let it inspire you to find a truth that works for you. The path is not really the path, but my path. It's my interpretation of a concept. And that concept is the concept from human suffering to human happiness and fulfillment. That path is from human ignorance to human remembering and knowing what we are, who we are, where we came from, and what we're here for. The path is a way of understanding the progression and the evolution of the human lifespan. I've defined the path as an esoteric system designed to relieve the pain of human suffering while inspiring happiness and bliss. And I know that might sound a little hokey, a little airy-fairy, a little bit fluffy, but really that's what's possible for us. If you've listened to my backstory, if you've listened to my path, the videos before these ones, then you've seen what I've been through and where I've come from. And so the path really is a way of eliminating our suffering and creating a life of happiness, fulfillment, and freedom. I'm going to share some definitions of what the path is to me and how I understand it. And let me just say again, you shouldn't believe anything I'm sharing with you. And in fact, everything that I'm going to share with you in these videos is such a small fraction of what the path really is. This is an intricate, complex, esoteric system based on all of the major esoteric systems that I've had experience with, finding the common thread between them all and what that means for us as human beings. The path then is a mixed martial arts of spirituality, so to speak. It's the Jeet Kune Do of spiritual practices. And if you're not familiar with Jeet Kune Do is the martial art that Bruce Lee created as a way of creating a martial art that is not superior, but connected to all of the other martial arts. And so the path is a spiritual system that's connected to all of the other systems and sees them all with compassion and sees them all with respect and sees them all as a reflection of a way to communicate with what we really are. So the path is not a solution to all of the other religions in the world, but rather a way of bringing them together. Or at least that's what I hope for it to be. The path has come to me through two main methods. One was through my deep studies in esoteric wisdom. As you know, if you listen to my path, I was initiated into high magic in October of 2015, and then a year later experienced an incredibly powerful shamanic ayahuasca ceremony, and then shortly after that was initiated as a shaman under the Shipibo people in the Amazon, Peru. The path then is a collection of all of the studies I've gone through, all of the work that I've put in the last few years, and not just my own life, but the lives of the clients I've worked with. It's a combination of all the books I've read, books like High Magic by Eliphas Levi, or Israel Regardie's classic book, A Garden of Pomegranates, where he meticulously pulls apart the entire tree of life and the Hebrew system, including the Hebrew number system and the Hebrew letter system, and offers you an overarching vision of what that system really represents. And in Eliphas Levi's book, High Magic, he further builds on some of that and spreads it to the rest of High Magic. I've read books like the Gnostic Bible or The Unknown Life of Christ, which help us understand who this Christ character may have been and what his name really meant and what he was able to achieve in his life. I've read books like The Pagan Christ by Tom Harper, where he creates connections between the Christ character and the Horus character, who existed 2,500 years before Christ in Egypt, and how their mythologies and their archetypes, which is their idea, is very similar. I've studied practices like Mayan shamanism, where we learn about Quetzalcoatl, the ruler in the Mayan times, who was believed to be a reincarnation of Jesus Christ, a reincarnation of the Holy One, so to speak. And there are other texts that suggest that this Holy One, this Yeshua character, this Horus character, or this Apollo character, Quetzalcoatl if you prefer, or Krishna maybe, this character is actually who we are at our core. It's our higher self, our truth. The path can help us align with the life of our dreams. And I know that sounds hokey, but I have a different way of understanding our dreams. For me, in my life, my dreams have always been visions of the future. My dreams have always been an image of some representation of what I'm going to experience at some point in my life. When I was 7 years old, I used to pray for the powers of Bruce Lee so I could be a professional martial artist. And in my 20s, I spent eight years being a professional martial arts fighter. I used to visualize myself owning businesses and read business books and visualize myself living in poverty, going to food banks and soup kitchens as my main source of sustenance, and visualizing and imagining myself as an entrepreneur, and then now having opened nearly a dozen businesses, most of them with $0. I imagined myself being a coach, imagined myself doing healing work on people, imagined myself as a shaman, I had dreams of myself doing shamanic work with people, being able to perform miraculous healings on people, and I've experienced those things in my life. And I say that with humility because I'm being guided to share my truth and my story with others, not as a form of bragging because it's something we're all capable of, not as a form of putting myself above anyone else because it's something that we can all achieve. And by me sharing my story, I'm sharing my vulnerability and therefore giving my power away, because with my knowledge, somebody else can achieve far more than I've been able to achieve up to this point in my life. Far, far, far more. And I'm only 35 years old. So there's more time. So who knows what will happen next. The path can help us, and I say, listen to me, I say this with absolute honesty and truth. The path can help us perform miraculous healing on ourselves and others. I mean miraculous in the form of 1 minute somebody is suffering from deep emotional pain and the next minute it's completely healed as if it was never there. Or miraculous healing like in one moment a person is crying and in the next moment a shaman will suck negative energy out of their body and vomit it into a bucket or a toilet next to them and have material actually come out of their body. Now, I wouldn't have really truly believed this. I would have thought it was some kind of trick or illusion, or the shaman had something in his mouth and he was spitting it out to try to make the person believe that that's what was actually happening, until I did it twice myself to clients I was performing ceremony with. In front of, the first time, 3 other people, and the second time, 20 other people were in the room when it happened. And the person that it happened to confirmed that he felt energy leaving his body. These miraculous healings are possible and so much more. Again, I'm only scratching the surface. As I'm going to be sharing with you throughout this program, I'm not finished my path. And that's why I'm producing this information, because most of us will wait until we're finished or perfect or ready to achieve something in life. And my higher self has been telling me, you can't fall into that trap. You have to put this information out in the world and share it with others, even if you don't feel like you're ready. And believe me, I haven't felt like I was ready. There was more than a week between the first video, my path, and this video. And what has happened in the last 7 days of my life has been just extraordinary. Deep, deep healing, deep resolution, total cleansing of my body, 36-hour fast, and much more in the last 7 days, all as part of this preparation. The path can help us develop powerful communication and social skills. You'll be able to create deep and meaningful relationships with people, sometimes in minutes. Literally in minutes. As soon as you meet them, you will be able to connect with them on such an authentic and deep level that they will feel like they know the real you instantly. And they will immediately open up to you and start sharing with you things that maybe they've never shared with anyone before. And your level of intimacy will grow to an incredible amount in a very short period of time. The path can help us heal the pain of failure, loneliness, bitterness, anger, anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, low self-worth, all of it. It can give us freedom from the self-judgment that we have that constantly bombards our thoughts, sabotages our behavior, and inspires self-loathing words that don't make anyone feel good about being around us, and they certainly don't make us feel good about ourselves. The path can help us heal our relationships to our family, friends, and enemies, even the ones who are most challenging. Let me tell you, even the ones that drive you the most crazy, you will find resolution with them. Now, I'm not saying you're going to have this person in your life all the time. They're going to be there. You're going to have great friendships and all that kind of stuff. What I'm saying is you're going to be able to heal the relationship and find peace and resolution. Now, the ultimate goal in the eyes of our Creator is peace and harmony among all of the people, because we are all one, which you'll learn throughout this program. You are everyone you experience. So the ultimate goal is to heal yourself to the point where you can find compassion and patience with everyone on the planet. That's the ultimate goal of human evolution. But that's not necessary. That's just an option. You can choose where on the scale, where on the path you take yourself. This is not a start and an end kind of path. This is a start and an infinite process of evolution that you can take. And you get to choose when you start and when you stop. You get to choose how high you climb. And you get to choose what kind of life you create, because you are the creator, which you'll learn throughout this program. The path can help us align with our mission and purpose and create an ever-growing level of happiness, fulfillment, and prosperity. Again, I say this with humility. I've got lots of work to do. I've got more mountains to climb in my own life. I've got more impact to create and more challenges to overcome. However, I grew up from deep poverty in Canada. I just don't want to be ignorant to the other countries in the world. There's some terrible poverty in the world. Canada, we're very fortunate. But regardless, I grew up in poverty in Canada, below the poverty line. Social assistance was the main source of income for my family most of my life. I was in foster care and all of these other things, as you know if you listen to my story. This path can help us heal all of that and create growing levels of prosperity. If you're thinking, well, I'm going to be healed, but I'll probably never have a lot of money in my life. That might be your reality right now. That might be your experience. But as you go throughout this path in your own life, as you really start to heal your elemental bodies, you'll recognize that the opportunities to create more income will be there for you. You'll learn the arts of finances. You'll learn the art of creating impact, and the reason that energy exchange is so important when we're doing work on others, whether it's your paintings or whether it's your music or whether it's your healing work or whether it's the landscaping business you have, energy exchange is important for people to see value in the work that we do. And we're all artists. We're all geniuses. So we deserve to be compensated as such, but value is important too. The path will help us create our friends and connections everywhere we go and feel at home literally everywhere. Now, this is a growing experience for me. I don't feel comfortable everywhere I go yet, but most places I do. And I can take myself to that state very quickly if I need to, or if I want to. Sometimes I want to be inside myself. Sometimes I want to be invisible, and that's okay. We're allowed to be invisible sometimes. But the path will give you the option to create connections everywhere you go, even if you don't speak the language, even if you don't know the culture, even if you don't feel comfortable, even if you don't feel accepted, even if you don't feel like you fit in, because you'll recognize that feeling you get that you don't fit in is really a reflection of other people's feelings about themselves, and it's a reflection of your own belief about yourself that's rooted deep in childhood, and that will heal throughout your journey on the path. The path can help us discover and rediscover hidden talents that we may not have even known were there. I've been playing music for 25 years, and I always knew I was good at guitar, but I couldn't write lyrics for the life of me. I just was always so critical of the lyrics. That's not true, I couldn't write them. See, that's even part of the pattern. I could write lyrics, but I didn't like them. I was so critical of them and so judgmental of them that they were never good enough. After a 3-day silent retreat with no connections to other people, no books, no TV, no internet, no nothing, just my guitar and a notebook, all of a sudden I was able to write poetry and lyrics for music as if I was always great at it. And I've since written more than a dozen songs. So we discover and rediscover talents we didn't even know we had. So again, I didn't know that I was a shamanic healer or that I was a shaman. I visualized it, I dreamed it, I hoped it, and it became a reality in my life. So there's a talent that I discovered that I didn't know that I had. It can help us reverse the aging process, heal chronic pain and mental illness. So as you heard in the path, I was diagnosed with complex PTSD at one point in my journey. And then at another point in my journey, my psychologist said, you're fine. You have some struggles sometimes, but you're fine. You don't have symptoms of PTSD anymore. And sometimes, I've gotten triggered, don't get me wrong. I've made mistakes. I've felt really agitated, irritated, some minor symptoms of normal everyday experiences. But to the level of PTSD where I was scared to leave my house, where I was scared to create relationships, where I was triggered all the time, where I was constantly sabotaging my relationships, where I wasn't eating healthy, where I was gaining weight, where I wasn't exercising, where I wasn't taking care of myself, those symptoms have disappeared using the path. The path can heal addictive behaviors and unconscious patterns of self-abuse. It can help us completely heal those. They say, if you want to quit something, Buddhism says, if you want to quit something, do more of it. And the path supports that idea. You don't have to quit alcohol. You don't have to quit cannabis. You don't have to quit prescription drugs. You don't have to quit your other drugs. What you have to do, or you don't have to do anything. What you can do, though, is heal the pain that those medicines are treating for you. You see, addictions are not really addictions. I was a food addict my whole life, most of my life, not my whole life. Watch that language. I was a food addict most of my life. See, correcting myself like this is showing you that I'm willing to be vulnerable enough and humble enough to call myself out for my mistakes. So hopefully that will inspire you to reach the same level of humility. Language is important, and when we use extreme language like all of my life, or I'm broke, or I'm sick, we start to create a reality that reflects that. And so by calling myself out, I'm able to change the neurological patterns, become conscious of my unconscious behavior, and therefore start to change it. So moving on. The path can help us to heal the pain that these addictions are serving and treating. Addictions like alcohol or prescription drugs or heavy drugs, these drugs are acting like medicines to treat a certain pain that we're feeling. And for me, it was sexual abuse and childhood stress and abandonment issues and so much more. And I'm sure you've got a list of your own issues, or maybe you think you don't have any issues. And that's one of the more challenging aspects, because a lot of people have had really great lives, really great childhoods, and they think, well, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what it is. Believe me, it can be so small. I found clients who literally have just had one painful thing happen in their entire childhood. And that one painful thing created a ripple effect neurologically and emotionally and spiritually that just affected their entire life. And once they were able to heal that one thing, go back in the past and heal it properly, then it disappeared. I'm feeling pulled to mention something. In some forms of trauma healing, in some forms of therapy, in some forms of counseling, the advice is to not go in the past. Just leave the past. You don't have to go digging into it. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to access it. And for those modalities, it's probably correct. For those modalities, that's probably good advice. For the path, we're not going into the past necessarily. What we're doing is cleaning the elemental bodies. And to clean the elemental bodies, sometimes we have to face things from our past that we haven't faced yet. So going into the past is kind of a byproduct of cleaning the elemental bodies. So the path is not suggested for everyone. I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about that shortly. This is not for the faint at heart. There's a story that I'm going to be sharing with you shortly called The Shamanic Warrior. It's a mythological story I'm writing about the path, about a young man who goes through the journey of becoming a shamanic warrior, or so he thinks. And he goes through this deep healing journey. And it's called The Shamanic Warrior because this work is really intense. It's called the great work in alchemy or in ancient esoteric systems because it's really, it's big work. It's fully cleansing who we are. It's fully healing our sins. It's fully confessing all of our pain. It's fully cleansing ourselves and ridding ourselves of anything that makes us believe that we don't deserve love. And that's a big process. But again, like I mentioned earlier, you can take it to the depth that you want to take it to. You can use it for whatever you need to use it for. If you're gonna really run with it, expect it to get challenging, because it will. But if you're gonna dip your toes in, which you can do, and you'll get plenty of benefits, you can do that in the beginning. And then over time, maybe you dip a little more in, maybe your knees, maybe your lower half of your body, then maybe eventually you dive right in. Maybe you don't, and that's fine. The path can help us truly love ourselves. truly love ourselves, and that might sound like a foreign idea to some of you, it sure sounded like it for me, but it can help you fully love yourself. It can help you love yourself despite what you may have done in your past, no matter how terrible it is. Listen, my job is not to tell you that, and I say this with humility because I'm a victim of some of these crimes, but that rapists are bad people. I'm not here to tell you that pedophiles are bad people. I'm not here to tell you that murderers are bad people. I'm not here to tell you that anyone is a bad person. I'm here to remind you that everyone is sick who commits crimes. Everyone is sick who hurts other people. They have been hurt and they deserve our compassion, just like their victims do, because they are victims in some form or another in their life too. And that's really what the path is about. The path is about helping those who have created pain and helping those who have experienced pain, because it's for all of us. It's not just for the people who are good enough. The path can help us create deep, authentic, and meaningful relationships to the people we love. So maybe you love your mother, maybe you love your father, maybe you love your brother and your sister, but you don't really have deep and meaningful relationships with them. The path can help you develop deep and meaningful relationships to these people. It can also help you create a lifestyle of freedom and play. And for some people, that sounds crazy, right? A lifestyle of freedom and play. I mean, how am I going to play when I've got 3 or 4 kids and I've got work 60 hours a week? I'm just looking at some notes here. You've got your life. How could life be free and playful? Well, it's up to whether or not you're willing to give yourself that permission, whether or not you're willing to ask for what you want in life. And I don't mean necessarily like asking the other people, and don't try to figure this out. It'll make sense as you go along during the path. That's not the most important thing. That's an outcome of practicing the path. A life of freedom and fun and play and love and happiness and fulfillment is a result of practicing the path. So if you think, well, how am I going to create that in my life right now? Well, your life right now is not going to be the same once you move down the path. So last night I was really kind of writing some notes. Like, what is the path? What really is it? So I can just throw out some ideas and really give you an idea. Because again, it's so complex that I can't explain it in just words. You'll just have to experience it. So the path is an esoteric self-healing system. It's a system to help you understand what needs to be healed so that you can go out, find the resources, find the people, find the methods or the methodologies or whatever techniques vibrate or resonate with you to heal yourself. This is not a here's how you have to do it kind of system. It's a here's what you're trying to do kind of system. So you figure out what's best for you, what works best for you. It's going to be different for everyone. It's a way of understanding ourselves. It's a way of actually understanding not just the human being, the Ricky Goodall character, but what's beyond that, what's outside of that, what's behind that. Because there's more to what we are, far more. It's a simplified, modernized path to enlightenment. And you might say, well, how do you know that, Ricky? You're not enlightened yet. Listen, I'm with you. I'm not fully enlightened yet. I'm not. I experience triggers. I experience challenges. I experience struggles. But I have seen enlightenment. I have experienced enlightenment without question, and I've showed other people that experience as well. And I've had such vivid, lucid experiences connecting to higher self, creator, or God, speaking through me and telling me in a mirror, I'm not kidding here, in ceremony, exactly what this path is for, exactly how it works, exactly what my role is in promoting this path and sharing this path with others, exactly what it's going to look like, exactly what the future is going to look like to a degree, not exactly, and so on. So, and I use the word exactly a lot there, and I just want to call myself out. It's not true. Nothing's ever exact with this stuff, but showed me with clarity what this path is, with clarity how it's going to help me and how it's going to help others to the degree that I'm able to see in a shamanic vision at least. The path is a non-dogmatic, so there is no central figure in the path. I say God because that's the language I use. You can use whatever language you want. It means the everything. That's all it means. And in my personal perspective of the path, the everything is a conscious being that is actually me that I can communicate with. So the path is a non-dogmatic spiritual system, so no central figure, based on geometry first. That's our first thing it's based on. The first thing the path is based on is sacred symbols, geometrical symbols, and sacred geometry. And I won't draw the flower of life because it would just be too difficult, but you can see it on my headband. I've got the tattoo on my chest. So these are some of the important symbols in the path. So it's based on, it's a non-dogmatic esoteric system based on, where am I at here? Geometry, psychology, So a lot of this concept, it's based on psychology because according to these ancient systems, everything is in the mind. So everything exists inside of your mind. So psychology is incredibly important. Not necessarily just strictly modern psychology, which is valuable. Modern psychology is based on these ancient forms of psychology. Modern chemistry is based on ancient alchemy. Modern astronomy is based on ancient astrology. It's just that there's an exoteric and this is important because the path has this as well. I was going to mention this later, but I'll mention it now. There is an esoteric form of science, and there is an esoteric form of science. Now, the exoteric form of science is the science that the masses get. It's the science that you put in high school. It's the science that you put in university. It's the science that you put in postgraduate. Esoteric is the hidden, behind the scenes, occult or underground, if you want to call it, or whatever, the hidden wisdom behind the esoteric science. So in chemistry, for example, it came from alchemy, and the science of alchemy was about the five elements: air, fire, water, earth. That's the exoteric kind of viewpoint of it. But the esoteric, which you're going to learn in the path, is so much deeper. And I'm not even really going to touch on much of the esoteric in this description because it's too deep. The exoteric is the first introduction to it. So exoteric is the outside world, esoteric is the inside world. And so the path is a non-dogmatic spiritual system based on geometry, psychology, quantum physics, and ancient human history. So it's based on sciences and history. It's not based on spirituality. Spirituality is just a philosophy that helps us understand the path a little more deeply and how it actually relates to us personally and how we can imagine it in our mind. Because the thing about these spiritual arts is that they require imagination. There's a meme I saw on Facebook one time that said, imagination is magi, which is a magician, nation. So in other words, we're all magicians. And our imagination is our faculty, is our tool. It's our weapon, so to speak, or our sword for using our imagination, or creating our reality, rather. It's our paintbrush. Our imagination is how we actually create the world around us. And so the systems that include stories and mythological tales are to access that imaginative part of our mind and imagine us as Christ, imagine us as Horus, imagine us as Moses, imagine yourself as King David, imagine yourself as King Solomon. When you read these stories and you resonate with the wisdom inside of them, you become more enlightened. You wake up more because the wisdom, it feels true. It resonates as true within you, even though it's a fake story or a true story. That's up to interpretation. Even though the story is not real or is real, it still resonates with you. The wisdom resonates inside of you and it feels true for you. So you can still learn from it even if you don't believe it's true. And so there's been a story that's come to me through this process of receiving the path. That's a mythological story that I'm writing 3 books on right now, probably more by the sounds of it, that help understand this path from a mythological perspective, from a non-fiction perspective, so you can use your imagination. It's based on ancient human history because it's written in the pyramids. It was written in the Sumerian tablets. It's written in ancient sites all over the world. It is the ancient sites of the world. You know, this is ancient technology. This is esoteric wisdom is the esoteric form of the exoteric pyramids of Giza, or the exoteric Machu Picchu, or the exoteric Göbekli Tepe, or the exoteric Sacsayhuaman or Gudang Padang. These ancient sites that show us that there was some level of high technology. Well, esoteric wisdom is the high technology that survived those times. And when we fully embrace the esoteric wisdom, when we fully heal ourselves, then we can learn how to build a pyramid. Then we can learn how to build a Machu Picchu. Then we can learn how to move massive 125-ton rocks with sound, or maybe even with our mind or intention. Who knows? It's really hard to say. But regardless, esoteric wisdom, like the path and other forms, is the high technology that survived from the ancient times. The path is an art of self-mastery. It's an art of fully mastering yourself. Now, I am not at what I would call a level of total self-mastery, but I have certainly mastered a lot of things in my life. I've become a professional fighter. As you know, I've risen from trauma and poverty. I've created businesses. I've cleansed myself and healed myself to the point where I'm happy every day, even if things get stressful. I'm able to ground myself. I have a system, a healing system, so whenever I face any challenges, I have a healing system that can heal me endlessly, infinitely. I'm always able to find the people I need to help me heal, or I'm able to perform that healing on myself. The path has given me those resources. The path is the journey of the shamanic warrior. So the true path is about the healer that has gone through hell in their lives to get to where they are, and who is moving forward to inspire the world with their own healing. That's really what the path is for. That's why it's so intense, because it requires some really deep healing and some really big challenges. A warrior faces challenges in their initiations. In some of these ancient initiation ceremonies, like in Freemasonry, you would get shot with a blank. I don't think that's an ancient one, because there wouldn't be guns back then, but that's one of the initiation ceremonies. You're blindfolded and you're shot with a gun that has a blank in it. It's terrifying. Initiations are meant to really challenge us. And to be a shamanic warrior, or to be a person that's reached total enlightenment, full enlightenment, where we can still play and enjoy the experiences of life and live in that higher state of consciousness. Because it's one thing to just meditate all the time and be enlightened. That's great. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But to be able to also enjoy the experience of being a God on earth at the same time, well, that's truly divine. That's the true experience that's ready for us. That's the true kingdom that's available to us, and the heaven on earth that's available to us. And I use these terminology because your brain likely recognizes them, and it probably connects with your mind. If it doesn't, that's fine. Think about it like this. The whole world is your video game, and you can play it however you like. The path is a way to the promised land. It's a way to happiness, fulfillment, and freedom. It's a guide to healing the elemental bodies. It's the ultimate personal development program. Really, it is. I haven't seen anything that surpasses it yet. I mean, there are lots of programs that are going to give you more of an intense experience than the path, but the path is a way of understanding those programs. Those programs fit in the path, because the path is a fully encompassing system that I just haven't seen yet on the world. It might be out there, I just haven't seen it. The path is a self-study guide to becoming the higher self, to becoming the God self, to becoming the Yeshua self, if that resonates with you, to becoming the Horus self, or Apollo self, or Krishna self, or Quetzalcoatl self, to become the masculine and the feminine energy combined as one, balanced as one human being, expressing divinity truly and authentically through themselves. That's what this path is for. It's a way of understanding God, creator, or the conscious universe in a way that resonates with you. And this, I say this again with humility. I don't say this as I'm not saying it's a law, but I'm saying that I've seen it in my own practices. It's a method of treating and healing mental illness and chronic disease. It will help with that, especially if you really take it in as far as you like. And finally, it's a resource for healing poverty, crime, domestic abuse, and childhood trauma. And I've seen all of these things. I've seen these miracles happen in my own work. I've seen it in my own family. I've seen it in my own life. So I know that it's possible, and I know that the path can help people achieve that. Okay, so what the path isn't a religion. It's not a religion. It's not based on a religion. It's not based on any type of ideas. It's based on fundamental geometrical ideas, psychological concepts, ancient human history, and patterns in thinking. And that's it. It's not a dogma. Again, it's not like you have to be strict to the path. Everything that you're strict to, if you're strict to Buddhism, well, you're practicing the path, probably without knowing it. If you eat if you're vegan, or if you eat vegetarian, or if you eat healthy, or if you eat humane, or if you just don't eat carbs, you're practicing the path to a certain degree or another, somewhere on the spectrum. You practice martial arts, you don't practice martial arts, you exercise, you don't exercise, you swear, you don't swear, you're part of the path. We're all on the path, we just don't realize we're on the path. It's not a strict set of rules or laws, and it's not for everyone. Again, a lot of what you're going to hear throughout this program might trigger you. It might actually have you think, this guy's nuts. What does he know? This can't be true, especially coming from him. Then fine, it's not for you. It's not for everyone. But here's what the path is. And first and foremost, it's a concept perceived through my lenses and tested through application. Really, that's what it is. It's something that has come to me through visions, through insights, through studies, through conversations, through shamanic visions, through shamanic journeys, as a message from God, as a message from Mother Ayahuasca, directly to me. But that's it, really. All the rest is just bullshit, really. It's just my opinion from this point forward. The path is a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. It's not something you just do on Monday nights. Unless that's how you're starting, then that's fine. Right? I correct myself immediately. Actually, the path is something you just do on Monday nights, if that's where you're at on that. See, that's my own overachieving perfectionism pattern creeping into the way I'm teaching this, and my higher self's not letting me get away with that one today. It's a philosophy. It's a way of thinking, really. It's a practice. It's something that you don't just think about, but you try to practice in your life. It's an art. It's a way of creating your reality, just like a friend of mine, Anthony, and I used to use the term dreamscaping, as if we're just creating our dreams. It's an idea, really, and it's a game. This is the most fun part about the path, is that literally the most important part of walking the path is holding the imaginative concept that your life is a video game. It's the only way to really succeed at the path, because otherwise things get too tough, they get too challenging, they get too scary, they get too real, they get too painful, they get too hurtful, and you feel really alone sometimes, you feel really helpless sometimes. But if you can just remember that you're a God, you're a creator, you're an angel playing this video game, just trying to bust through challenges, trying to level up, trying to beat King Bowser's, trying to jump over the flaming cavern and all that other kind of stuff. That's what you're doing here. That's really what this life is for. That's what this game is about. And the challenge that you've created for yourself, the childhood and the future, or whatever in between, that's part of your game system. That's what you're here to learn. Those are the levels that you're here to beat. It's a path toward healing, freedom, and enlightenment. It's a path toward play, prosperity, abundance, and most importantly, love. It's a path toward love. Imagination is absolutely vital for success in the path. We can't really succeed with it all that well if we're not using our imagination at some point, but it's pretty much impossible not to once you start understanding the concepts. When we use our imagination, we connect to our creative force. We connect to the wisdom of the universe, the intent, the will to create. And when we follow it with action, miracles happen in our lives. You don't have to read anything else if you can really fully understand this. Imagine what you want and take action to make it happen. And that's all you need. That's the path summarized in 2 steps. Imagine what you want and take action to make it happen, because your higher self will lead you to where you need to go. Once you are able to heal the nervous system and heal the neurological system and heal the emotional body and heal the spiritual system enough to be able to just listen to the astral body and let it lead you, listen to the higher self and let it lead you without having all these contradicting neurological processes and triggers happening, well, then you can just be led by it. But maybe you're able to get there now. You could be. It's very possible. Some people are already there. Some people experience a near-death experience or an ayahuasca ceremony or some kind of thing that just cleans them. And they're cleaned now and they're there. And maybe you're there. Maybe all that's left for you is learning what to do next. So imagination is important. To keep us in our imaginative state, the path requires us to imagine we're playing a highly advanced, heavenly or spiritual video game. That we are creator, we are God, we are a God at least, experiencing this life as just human, as a sort of cosmic joke, a form of entertainment, and a way of growing into the full power of what we are, the full power of our creatorship. So there are 10 rules, there are no rules, but there are 10 rules in this system for the sake of the video game. So they're the rules of the video game. They're called the 10 spoken rules. And so these 10 rules are based on an ancient system that came to me in a way to help you understand. Rule number 1, and these are all written in the first person. And you can repeat them after me if you like, or you can wait until I send them out another way, or whatever. Number 1, I am the higher self playing human. Most important one on the whole list. I am the higher self playing human. And we could just stop there. That's the most important part, because the rest is bullshit, isn't it? The rest is just filtered through me. If you're the higher self playing human, well then you don't really need to listen to anything else I'm about to say. You can go find it on your own, find it through your own research, find it through your own experiences, follow the synchronicities and you'll gain the wisdom. Far more than I've probably received at this point, just because you know that. I am the higher self playing human. Number 2, there is an infinite well of wisdom inside of me. Infinite well. All of the wisdom about your financial future, your relationship future, your health future, your sex life in your future. Everything you want is inside of you. And I know we all say,